In the vast archives of automotive history, few cars feel less like machines and more like unfinished prophecies. A vehicle that looked like the future, sounded like ambition, and yet collapsed under the weight of its own vision. A car made not of steel panels painted to please the market, but of raw stainless steel, uncoated, unforgiving, and cold to the touch. A car with doors that didn't open sideways, but upward, as if rejecting the ground it stood on. The DeLorean DMC-12 was never meant to blend in. It was meant to disrupt, to intimidate, to announce that Detroit's rules no longer applied. And for a brief moment, it worked. But behind the dramatic silhouette and cinematic immortality lies a quieter, more uncomfortable truth. The DeLorean wasn't killed by competition. It wasn't destroyed by bad engineering alone. And it wasn't doomed because people didn't want it. It died because the future arrived without a business plan. So how did one of the most recognizable cars in history collapse after producing fewer than 9,000 units? Who was the man confident enough to challenge Detroit? And reckless enough to believe he could outrun it? And why did stainless steel dreams turn into one of the most expensive lessons in automotive history? Let's go back to where the dream began. In the early 1970s, John Zachary DeLorean was everything Detroit admired, and secretly feared. A star engineer at General Motors. The youngest division head in the company's history. The man behind the Pontiac GTO, the car many credit with inventing the American muscle car. DeLorean didn't look like a corporate executive. He wore long hair, tailored suits, and carried himself like a celebrity instead of a manager. He spoke openly about how Detroit had lost its soul, how cars had become cynical products rather than expressions of engineering passion. And eventually, he did the unthinkable. He walked away. In 1973, at the peak of his career, John DeLorean left General Motors. Not quietly, not gracefully, but loudly, with the belief that he could build a car that proved Detroit wrong. A sports car that was ethical, safe, innovative, and unlike anything on the road. This wasn't just a business decision. It was a declaration of independence. From the beginning, the DeLorean was defined by contradiction. It was supposed to be a sports car, yet prioritize safety. Exotic, yet affordable. Advanced, yet simple to maintain. And most dangerously of all, revolutionary, yet mass-produced. DeLorean envisioned a car with a plastic composite body, reinforced steel backbone chassis, and unpainted stainless steel panels that would never rust, never fade, and never go out of style. For design, he turned to Giorgetto Giugiaro, one of the most influential automotive designers in history. The result was sharp, angular, and unapologetically futuristic. Then came the doors. Gull-wing doors, dramatic, theatrical, and mechanically complex. They were chosen not because they were practical, but because they symbolized separation from Detroit's conservative thinking. From the outside, the DeLorean looked like tomorrow. Inside the company, tomorrow was already falling apart. The original engineering concept collapsed almost immediately. The composite body proved too expensive and unreliable for mass production. The revolutionary chassis had to be abandoned. Suppliers hesitated. Costs ballooned. As deadlines slipped, DeLorean was forced into compromise after compromise, the very thing he once criticized Detroit for. The final production car bore little resemblance to the original engineering vision. Under the rear deck lid sat a PRV V6 engine. Developed jointly by Peugeot, Renault, and Volvo. Reliable, yes, but underpowered. With just 130 horsepower pushing a heavy stainless steel body, the DeLorean was slower than it looked. Much slower. 0 to 60 miles per hour took nearly 10 seconds. In an era obsessed with performance, the DeLorean's promise didn't match its reality. And yet, the biggest problems had nothing to do with speed. To build the car, DeLorean made a decision that would haunt the company forever. Instead of manufacturing in the United States, he accepted massive financial incentives from the British government to build the factory in Dunmurry, Northern Ireland. On paper, it made sense. Cheap labor, government funding, political support. In reality, it was a logistical nightmare. The workforce was largely untrained in automotive manufacturing. Political tensions were high. Supply chains stretched across continents. Quality control suffered. Early cars left the factory with misaligned panels, faulty wiring, and inconsistent assembly. Dealers were forced to fix brand new vehicles before they could be sold. The dream of a clean, ethical alternative to Detroit was slowly being buried under warranty claims and production chaos. Still, the DeLorean sold, not in massive numbers, but enough to prove people wanted it. They wanted the image, the doors, the stainless steel, the idea of owning a car that felt separate from ordinary traffic. But while customers admired the car, investors were losing patience. Costs continued to rise. Production remained slow. Cash flow evaporated. By 1982, the DeLorean Motor Company was running out of time. And then came the moment that would define the car forever. John DeLorean was arrested in a highly publicized FBI sting operation, accused of conspiring to traffic cocaine to save his failing company. Images of the once visionary engineer in handcuffs spread across the world. The damage was instant. Although DeLorean was later acquitted, the case dismissed due to entrapment, the company never recovered. Confidence vanished. Funding disappeared. Production stopped. In 1982, after producing fewer than 9,000 cars, the DeLorean Motor Company collapsed. The stainless steel future ended quietly. And yet, the story didn't end there. 3 years later, a DeLorean appeared on movie screens, not as a failed business experiment, but as a time machine. Back to the Future transformed the DMC-12 into an icon. Suddenly, the car wasn't remembered for its flaws, but for its symbolism. The DeLorean became eternal. Ironically, the car achieved immortality only after its creator lost everything. Today, the DeLorean exists in a strange place in history. Not a performance legend, not a commercial success, but a cultural artifact. A reminder that vision alone isn't enough, that innovation without structure collapses. And that sometimes, the future arrives before the world is ready to support it. John DeLorean didn't fail because he lacked courage. He failed because courage isn't scalable. The DeLorean DMC-12 wasn't a bad car. It was an unfinished idea. A stainless steel dream, frozen in time. If this story made you look at the DeLorean differently, leave a like so forgotten visions don't stay buried. And if you've ever seen one in person, or dreamed of those doors lifting skyward, share your memory in the comments. Because somewhere between ambition and reality, many more machines are still waiting to be told the right way.